Running a 3D printing business out of your home can be super rewarding, especially if you start to earn enough income for it to act as your full-time job. But there's much more to it than just buying a printer, sticking it somewhere, selling the thing that's trending online, and hoping for the best. I'm going to be a millionaire. Part of this process involves having an efficient work area that allows you to go from prototyping to hearing this lovely sound. And up until this year, I was running my business out of my bedroom. I had 2 printers out on my balcony and I was pulling in about $4,000 a month, which turned out to be around $1,500 in profit. And while this setup inevitably got the job done, the whole process was pretty chaotic. Then I met my partner Shab and inherited her dog Luffy, and she very kindly gave me the entire second bedroom as my office and half of the balcony for most of my printers. She is an angel. And I had really big plans for this space, but I think I just rushed through the whole thing and it ended up not looking very good. There were cables everywhere, under the desk and all over the floor. Storage was just all over the place in random boxes, and part assembly was really cramped. So today I'm going to be taking you through my full office refresh. What I fixed, what I learned, as well as the essentials that you'll need in order to build your own 3D printing workspace. Now you don't need to copy my setup exactly. You may need a wider desk or smaller shelves, but there are a few must-haves. To start with, you'll need a decent desk for packing, assembly, maintenance, and somewhere to put your computer. You'll need a proper space for your printers, as well as some way to ventilate the air around them. You'll need somewhere to store and toss stuff, and you'll need a workspace that you actually enjoy being in. So now we'll go through each one and get your setup running smoother than your first calibration cube. So let's start with your desk. Treat your desk as the bridge to your starship. Shields at 15%, Captain! Because this is where most of the business happens. It needs to fit everything you need on top and underneath, be the right height to protect your wrists and elbows, and it helps if it looks nice because you might even use it to take product photos. I've built a few sit-stand desks over the years, and they're great because you can dial in the perfect height for optimal wrist support, and of course, switch between sitting and standing. I found that being able to rotate between the two has not only improved my focus, but helps me stretch out on long days in the office. And if you're a young whippersnapper that doesn't have any aches or pains yet, just you wait. My last setup was an IKEA tabletop with legs I got off Amazon. It looked fine, but it turns out the legs couldn't go low enough, and that slight angle really messed up my wrists and elbows. I tried pillows, wrist straps, mouse pads, and even a vertical mouse, but nothing worked because the table was just too high and my chair was maxed out. So this is a desk that a company called Vernal sent me out to help me fix that problem. And they were also cool enough to sponsor the video. But don't worry, this isn't going to just turn into a 10-minute ad about a desk and how much I love it. Wow, look at this desk! We're going to be going over plenty of other things as well. Plus we'll be covering some of the things about this desk that I feel could use some improvement. So let's take a look. I'd never actually owned an L-shaped desk before because I was concerned that the space in the corner wouldn't be overly useful, but I decided to try it out anyway. And I'm really glad I did. From having built sit-stand desks previously, it was really nice to have all the screw holes pre-tapped with metal threaded inserts, and everything went exactly where it needed to go. I didn't have to worry about over-tightening a screw and popping it through the top, because my carpentry skills aren't very good. Plus it also came with some cable management accessories which really helped my pain and suffering when it came to doing that type of thing. Oh my lord. Now it feels like I have so much more room to pack, ship and assemble things, and now I don't need to take over Shab's already limited art space. Previously I'd have to remove my keyboard and mouse and squeeze all the packaging and assembly under my monitor, but now all I need to do is swivel my chair to the right and get to it. And if I need even more space, I can just push the keyboard out of the way and I have all the space I'll ever need, due to the tabletops being quite wide. And praise the Lords, it goes low enough. So much lower! 65 centimeters off the ground low, which nearly turns it into a coffee table. It's a good day, isn't it? So that means that no matter your height, you can get your desk dialed in perfectly. And you'll never have to worry about wrist or elbow pain ever again. When it comes to stability, the extra leg and reinforced frame really help. My previous desk wobbled all over the place, even at its lowest setting, and although this desk does wobble when I violently shake it when it's raised as high as it can go, I didn't notice any significant wobbling when I was just using it normally with my keyboard and mouse, regardless of the height that it was set to. It also has collision detection and a keypad neatly tucked under the edge so you don't accidentally bump it. It's got 3 presets, a child lock, and a 180 kilogram load limit, which means you can pack it with basically anything you need. Now let's go over some of the issues that I found. When it came to the functionality of the desk, the only issue I ran into was when I was moving the legs up and down repeatedly during filming, and they locked up for about 20 minutes. But I believe this is a safety feature built in to stop the motors from overheating and can be easily avoided by just not adjusting the desk continually within a small time frame. Also, I wish there was a way to line up the tabletops perfectly. I found that they tended to misalign slightly during assembly, and by the time you'd set everything up, it was too late to adjust it. So it would have been nice if they'd included some type of self-aligning bracket system that would prevent this from happening. Now, if I really spent the time on it, I could get it perfect, but I'm very impatient. Now, these issues are certainly not deal breakers, and overall, I really like the desk. Sponsored or not sponsored, it's a great product. And if you're looking for a desk for your own business, then this is a really solid option. Prices start at $429, and they've got a whole range of colors and sizes that have been designed to blend in nicely with your home. So if you want to get started with your own setup, I've got a discount code for 6% off, plus $70 off the classic sets. And if you can get in while you can, they're running some pretty awesome Black Friday discounts of up to 42% off. Now, when it comes to customizing your desk, there are plenty of ways to make it not only look nicer, but function better too. This is a cable management spine that I printed in PLA, which I attached to the Vernal cable management tray with some Gorilla Tape. It's awesome for combining all your desk cables neatly into one bundle. And it articulates as you move the desk up and down. You can also add or remove cables easily without disassembling the whole thing. And for the cables at the base of the spine, I just fed them all into a cable box so it wasn't a cluster of cables at the bottom of the desk. And paired with these little zip tie stickies, as well as the cable tray that came with the desk, I found this to be a really great solution to my cable management nightmare problem. I also use LED lights that have Wi-Fi so they can connect to my Google Home. So with a simple voice command, I can turn them all on, change the color, or even set the mood. Hey Google, enable romance mode. Well, that didn't work. Just remember to reinforce the adhesive with small squares of Gorilla Tape, because the adhesive that comes with strip lights is generally pretty bad. This tape, while slightly expensive, will keep your lights up for good, plus it's not going to damage anything if you need to take it off for any reason. And also, to help reduce the cable clutter under your desk, I'd suggest getting a single surge protected power board that can power everything in one convenient place. You can also add some headphone hooks. The desk came with a few, but you can also print out your own and mount them anywhere. You're also going to need a home for your phone. There are plenty of phone holders out there that can even incorporate wireless charging, but for my broken ass phone, I gotta do it the old fashioned way and plug it in. You can print out a pen holder or set of drawers to hold all your knickknacks and paddywhacks, as well as anything else that adds your personal touch and just makes you happy to look at.
Arming torpedoes, Captain!
Now let's go through your computer setup. I build my own PCs because it's cheaper, but if that's not your thing, then pre-built is fine. Just make sure that it's semi-decent. Now, my setup is by no means the most powerful computer in the world, but it does what I need it to do. From video editing, gaming, and 3D modeling and slicer design. I'd also suggest getting an Intel i7 or better, plus a compatible Wi-Fi integrated motherboard to go with it. I'd recommend 32 gigabytes of RAM or more, a good GPU, something around the $500 range in the GeForce series, and at least 1 or 2 high-capacity SSDs. Add a liquid cooling system so it doesn't overheat mid-render, and a power supply that can handle everything. Websites like PC Part Picker are awesome because you can select what parts you want, and it will tell you if there are any compatibility problems before you go ahead and buy everything. I'd highly recommend using it because the last thing you want to do is order all these parts and nothing works together. I have done it and it is annoying. A fast and reliable PC is going to save you hours when designing and slicing, because nothing kills your motivation like waiting for a model to render every single time you move one vertex. I like to use 2 monitors so I can multitask-ish. I use these Blitzwolf arms to hold the monitors because they have built-in cable management and they allow me to use the space underneath them. Now, you don't need 2 monitors, but once you have 2, you're never going back to 1. Now, you're going to need a home for your printer or printers. Ideally somewhere with ventilation and, if possible, a UPS that keeps your printers running when the power goes out. I keep most of my printers outside on some metal shelving, but I also have one inside in my office for quick prototyping and YouTube videos. I haven't had to do anything special to the outside shelving to stop vibrations, as these printers do a really good job at preventing vibration-related printing issues. For the printer inside, I used one of Shab's old set of drawers, and it worked fine in terms of stability, but they took up too much space. Plus, half the drawers didn't want to close, because I don't think I assembled it properly. Or it got damaged when we moved here, I don't know. We'll go with that. So I've since moved it on to a smaller set of drawers that I got from Vernal. I still have storage underneath, but now I have extra room for some more shelves. The support beam underneath keeps things mostly stable, with only some minor wobbling at high speeds like 300 millimeters per second plus, but the printer's built-in vibration compensation seems to account for this really well, with no noticeable issues in print quality. Plus it has the same wood style as my desk, and the two blend together really nicely side by side. But I did notice some tiny marks on the edge trim of the side cabinet, so I'm not sure if this is a packaging issue or manufacturing, but it's just something to note. When it comes to keeping the air clean, I use an upgraded filter on my P1S that has a HEPA filter on top of the activated carbon one. So that means that not only does it help reduce the smell that comes from certain plastics like ABS, but also the VOCs that come with them. These are really cheap at around $10 and will last you for a few months, and if all you're printing with is PLA or PETG, it will be more than enough to keep you safe. However, if your printer doesn't have an enclosure, then I would highly recommend getting one. This way you have a way to filter out the toxic air that comes out of it. Yes, you can use an air purifier to filter the whole room, but getting these things straight from the source means less time floating around your room and less chance getting into your lungs. A company called Mintian recently sent me out their filtration system for testing, which has the ability to fit basically any enclosed 3D printer, as long as you can make the adapter for it. So expect a full video on that very soon. For temperature control, I use a split system aircon. It's awesome for keeping the air circulating as well as for keeping the ambient temperature stable to prevent heat creep or cold build plates. For my printers outside, I use a small USB powered fan for when it gets really hot. I open the enclosures completely in the summer and close them in the winter. And if you can afford it, a UPS is going to be a great investment. I still don't have one yet because they are a little pricey. I've had to deal with a few power outages over the years. It hasn't been enough to cripple my business, but it's been enough to be annoying. And even if your printer can resume from a power outage, the downtime is generally enough for something to go wrong with the surface of the print. Now, when you're printing shipping labels, you'll eventually want more than one printer to do this. This way you can dedicate one printer to one label size. But if you can only afford one printer, then I'd recommend a laser printer. Thermal printers are great for domestic A6 labels, but they can't handle the full A4 international labels. A black and white laser printer uses toner instead of ink, it lasts much longer, and it prints fast at a high DPI. So when you can afford it, I'd have the laser printer for your international labels and a thermal printer for your A6 domestic labels. Let's talk about storage. Storage can make or break your workflow. If it's messy, everything falls apart, inventory gets lost, supplies go missing, and you waste time and money reordering things that you already have. One time I reordered shipping tape 3 times because I kept forgetting where I put it. Organization in a workspace like this is half the battle. I keep my shipping supplies visible. If I can see it, then I remember it, and I know how much I have. For my filament inventory, I use Simply Print because it tracks filament down to the gram, so I know exactly how much I have on every single spool. For product inventory, I use Shopify in conjunction with an app called Lite Commerce, and it syncs my Etsy and eBay listings automatically. No more overselling or manual updates. But before moving here, my entire system was just wardrobes and boxes, and it was a mess. But once I got my first storage rack, I realized how awesome it was, and that's when I realized how important vertical space is. Use every inch of the space you have above and below. Here's an example. Here we have a stack of bowls. As you can see, there is all this space above them that can't be used because no other bowls will fit into these ones. But this is easily solved by adding a riser. Now I can add a completely different set of bowls on top, I can reach them easily, and all that vertical space is no longer being wasted. Take a look at this space under my desk. There is enough room to fit an entire set of drawers. These boxes used to take up 2 entire shelves, but I stacked them as high as I could reach, nearly to the ceiling, and now I have an entire shelf free for something else. Saving space or enhancing it tends to have a cascading effect. And if you do it in enough areas around your room, you'll end up having much more of it. When you save it, you are reorienting or rearranging things so that they have a smaller footprint. When you enhance it, you are adding a tool or an object that allows you to access more of the space than would have been possible before. Printing your own organizers is a game changer, but they can be a little bit overwhelming in terms of getting everything to fit properly together. And if you haven't heard of Gridfinity yet, well, now you have. This is basically the easiest way to design and print your own storage systems that will fit your space perfectly, because there's a website that you can just enter in the length and width of your drawers, and it will make everything perfectly sized for you. It even splits the design across multiple build plates for you automatically and allows you to add in holes for magnets or even connector clips. So once you've measured your drawer, printed the base grids, installed them and connected them, just place whatever it is you want to store on top to get an idea on how big the container needs to be. Or you can just use the Gridfinity ruler. Then choose from the limitless possibilities of storage containers and set it up exactly how you like. I found that many of my tools had cutouts already, which I found on MakerWorld. The rest I designed myself using a free tool called Tooltrace AI. Just grab an A4 piece of paper, put it on the ground in a well-lit area, put your tool on top, and take a photo. Then import it into Tooltrace AI, adjust it how you like, and out pops a perfect cutout of your tool with minimal effort. But a word of warning if you want to make a cutout of scissors. When I built my part bins, I measured each shelf to make sure that they would fit perfectly. It made everything more efficient, increased my storage capacity, and reduced the mental clutter. I also have a whiteboard above my desk that really helps me remember things. It's a great addition to have if your memory is like mine. One of my many hidden talents. Now, part of your space needs to be big enough so you can work on your finished prints, assemble things, and fix things. Using a dining room table is okay for this because it's large and flat and mostly empty, but it has one major problem. Every time you need something, you need to go and get it. This ruins your flow and wastes time. Having all your parts and tools within arm's reach is not only more convenient, but it's more efficient. And when time is something that you're constantly running out of, having everything in one place is extremely helpful. A bright task light above your work area helps a ton with assembly, photography, and just stops your eyes from straining. I got this articulated arm off AliExpress for around $20, and I have this light with a removable NPF battery so I can just swap them in and out whenever I need to, and I don't have to wait for it to recharge. It can hold up to 3 kilograms, which means I can even throw a camera on it if I wanted to. Having a light right above your work area means you can see into the nooks and crannies of tiny 3D printer parts and will just make your life a whole lot easier. Let's talk about comfort and atmosphere. A comfortable chair is just as important as a comfortable bed. I've gone through plenty of different types of chairs, from cheap Officeworks chairs to an AK Racing one, and now I have this Secret Lab chair, which I bought myself. Now, it's not like sitting on a cloud, but it's really great for long sessions. Built-in lumbar support, micro adjustments on the armrests, magnetic headrest. But that said, this chair isn't exactly cheap, and Vernal actually offers some pretty cool looking chairs at a lower price point. And if you have carpet, then this is a must. Rolling around on day will absolutely destroy it over time, and they last about a year or two depending on use. And lighting and atmosphere also play a huge role in the overall ambience of your room. Don't just have one single LED strip on your desk, have several all around the room. Why not? And while you're at it, you can always add a lightsaber to the mix to really spice things up. This is a saber that N-Sabers recently sent me out, and I gotta say, it's probably one of the most epic things I've ever held in my hands. Die! Ugh! Oh my god, that's so cool. I only recently discovered Bamboo Studio's Lightbox Maker. I made that guy over there. You basically just drop any image you want into it and it does everything for you, while also giving you lifelike renders of the final product. But in the end, you need to set your room up in a way that makes you happy and gets you in the right mindset for the day. So there you go. My full office setup. Now this is going to be a work in progress, I think, indefinitely, and I'm always going to be changing things and moving things around, and that's just how it goes, I think. But hopefully this video has given you some ideas for your own 3D printing office setup. Just remember, it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to work for you. But if you're after a desk like mine, then check the link below and use the code on the screen to get an extra 6% off. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
You have pooped on the carpet one too many times, Padawan.